The cameras had left. The donors were gone. But in the back hallway of a luxury resort, Trump met a girl drawing on a produce box, waiting for her father, and still wearing a faded Trump pin. What she told him changed more than anyone knew. The clatter of dishes echoed faintly through the back hallway of the resort. It was the kind of place where everything felt polished. Floors you could eat off of, waiters who whispered, in chandeliers that didn't belong in the desert. But out back, behind the banquet halls and donor tables, the air was different. Still warm from the Arizona day. Still carrying the smells of mop water, bleach, and baked salmon. Trump had already finished his speech. He'd done the photo line, shaken hands, promised jobs, and waved to the crowd. The press was gone. The fundraiser was over. Just a few last stragglers packing up. He was heading out through the staff exit, a side hallway that smelled faintly of old produce and steam. The Secret Service cleared the path ahead, but Trump slowed down. Something had caught his ear. It was humming. Software. Off-key. A child's voice echoing faintly from the corner near the kitchen's supply racks. He turned. A little girl sat cross-legged on a plastic milk crate, surrounded by empty cardboard boxes. She was maybe 9 or 10. Big brown eyes, faded jeans, a shirt with a pink star that had been washed too many times. In her lap, she held the back of a produce box, and on it, with broken crayons, she was drawing something. A building, a kitchen, tiny people at stoves. She looked up when she saw him, not startled, just curious. Trump raised a brow. "What are you doing back here, little artist?" She blinked. "Waiting for my papa. He's cleaning. I'm not allowed to stay home alone since—" She stopped herself, looked down. Trump stepped closer. "Since what?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed to a laminated badge clipped to her belt loop. "He works here, nights only. Says we don't take handouts. We earn what we get." Her accent was soft, but her words were precise. Trump knelt slightly, trying to see her drawing. "Is that a restaurant?" She nodded. "My dream. I'm gonna open one. For everybody. Even the people who send moms away." Trump's jaw shifted slightly. "Where's your mom?" The girl didn't answer, just kept coloring. One crayon, then another. A moment later, a staffer came rushing down the hall. "Mr. President, we're ready to move." Trump held up a hand. "Quiet." He turned to the girl again. "What's your name?" "Isabella." "Pretty name." She shrugged. "My papa named me, after my abuelita. He says it means promise." Trump nodded, then noticed something clipped to her backpack. A small, frayed Trump 2016 pin, dulled with time. "You know who I am?" he asked. She nodded again. "My mom says you talk too loud. My papa says you care about people who work hard. He got this for me. Said to wear it even if people laugh." Trump leaned back against the wall, silent for a long beat. "Where's your papa now?" "Kitchen," she said, pointing. "He's scrubbing the fryers. He said that's the hardest job, so he saves it for last." Just then, the resort's general manager stepped around the corner, looking confused. "Sir, everything okay?" Trump gestured toward the girl. "She's with the staff?" The manager nodded. "Her dad's one of our overnight guys. Dishwasher. Good man. Doesn't complain. His wife, well, she was deported 2 years ago. But he stayed. Legally, says he has to show his daughter how to stand." Trump looked back at Isabella. She was now adding a tiny American flag in the corner of her restaurant drawing. No comment, no expression, just quiet, focused color. Then she looked up. "Do you hear people like my papa?" Trump didn't answer. Trump didn't answer. Not with words, anyway. He stood there for a long moment, the hallway filled with only the soft squeak of mops and the faint hum of kitchen machinery in the distance. The kind of silence that doesn't ask for attention. The kind that forces you to notice what's already there. Then slowly he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a business card. Not one with gold lettering or titles, just a plain, embossed card with a number. He handed it to the general manager. "I want her father's full name, his schedule, how long he's been here," quietly. The manager nodded, unsure of what to say. "And don't tell him I asked." That night, Trump didn't tweet. He didn't make a call to Fox or post a clip to Truth Social. He didn't say a word. But somewhere between midnight and dawn, A phone rang in a corporate office that hadn't heard from him in months. A hospitality investment group, one he used to work with, quietly funding employment initiatives for veterans and immigrant workers in the Southwest. He gave them instructions. The man would be moved to a supervisory position by the end of the month. His wages would double. His daughter's education, private school, fully covered through high school. And a legal consultation fund would be established to review the deportation of his wife, using all available humanitarian channels. No headlines, no signatures. A week later, Isabella received a package. Inside, a blank sketchbook, leather-bound with her name engraved on the front. Tucked into the first page was a handwritten note in big bold lettering, "Keep drawing. The world needs your kitchen. DT." She showed it to her papa. He smiled and placed it gently in a plastic sleeve, like it was glass. He didn't tell anyone. Didn't even tell Isabella what had changed until he'd already started his new job. He just came home one night with a bag of groceries instead of the usual rice and beans. "Things are different now," he said. Someone listened. 2 months later, Isabella mailed a small envelope to the resort, addressed only to the big man in the suit. Inside was a crayon drawing of her original sketch, but updated. The kitchen now had big windows with sunlight pouring in. There were people of every kind sitting at the tables. In the center was a tall figure, one hand holding a tray, the other a small wooden cross. At the bottom it said, "Even if you talk loud, thank you for hearing us." The staff didn't know what to do with it, so they framed it. It hangs now in the manager's office, a quiet reminder. Back in Palm Beach, Trump never mentioned the girl, not once on stage, not once in interviews, but staff noticed a small wooden cross on the edge of his desk. Child-sized, the kind you might make in a Sunday school class. Simple, unglazed. One day a close aide asked where it came from. He didn't look up from his papers. "It's from someone who still believes in second chances," he said, "even when the rest of the world forgets." Then he turned back to work. And that was it. A few weeks later, something changed. Her father came home holding an envelope he hadn't expected. Inside was a letter from a legal nonprofit, a team he'd never contacted, but who somehow had his name, his story, and the full case file on his wife. They were offering to reopen her deportation case. No charge. There was no explanation, no sender name on the letterhead. Just a line at the bottom in small print. Humanitarian review requested. Priority, family reunification. He folded the letter, pressed it to his lips, and said nothing. But Isabella knew something had shifted. Her drawings changed too. She started sketching windows, sunlight, home. Not just a dream anymore, but a space with 2 chairs instead of 1. Back at the resort, no one really talks about that night, but the kitchen staff still point to the framed drawing in the manager's office. A little girl's restaurant, a man with a cross in one hand and a tray in the other. And in the corner, written in crayon, "Even after they sent Mom away, my papa still believed." And somewhere far away, maybe in Florida, maybe in a drawer beside a phone that rarely rings, a small wooden cross still sits on a desk, waiting, not as a statement, but as a promise.